at Books with Maddie, and today I'm showing you my least favorite books that I read in 2021. Today I'm talking about the worst books that I read in 2021. Before I start this video, I feel that a disclaimer of some sort is necessary. Not that I know what I'm about to say, but I just feel like I just want to say I'm so tired that I might say that I don't like some of the books that you like, and I'm entitled to that opinion. I'm sorry if I don't like some of the books that you like, but I'm sure that there are books that I like that you don't like, and you're free to have that opinion. I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings, but this is my opinion. When you read 100 books in a year, there are some ones you don't like, and I'm just sharing with you what those books are right now. I'm just gonna go ahead and go right into it. Sorry if I say things you don't like. Warning. I'm uploading 7 days of content in a row, which means I'm filming every single day for the next couple of days, which means these videos are only going to get more and more chaotic. Like, I had it together like 4 videos ago, but now I'm like, I kind of want to stop. So, like, who knows what I'm about to say? Who knows what I'm about to do? It's about to get wild. I'm talking about books. How wild can it get? You'll see. I need to just start. I'm going to talk about these in no particular order, just the order that I wrote them down right here in my notes. Let's go. First, we're going to talk about Disgrace by J.M. Coetzee. This little handy-dandy guy. Which won the Booker? Nope. Which one? I think it also won the Booker. Yeah. Booker Prize winning author. The Nobel Prize in Literature. What? Okay, let's talk about this book. This is one of the worst books I've ever read in my entire life. I gave it 1 star. I only gave 3 books 1 star this year, and this is one of them. And it won the Nobel Prize in Literature. I had to read this book for my class that I took earlier. I don't remember what class it was. I think it was like World Literature post 1945, which is very specific. Anyway, this book follows a professor named David Laurie who basically rapes a student and then is fired, but like this entire time is justifying his actions. He goes to live with his daughter, who he calls like fat and is homophobic towards, and then she gets raped, and then he tries to steal her trauma and make it into his. So the reason I think this book is like so highly acclaimed is because it's supposed to be examining racial tensions in South Africa post-apartheid. I don't even remember that being talked about at all in this book. Like, I don't even remember us talking about that in class because we were focused so much on the fact that this guy was the worst. And I don't even remember this book even covering the racial complexities. I remember the main character being racist. I could go on for literally ever. Right now, if you're wondering why I'm looking down, it's because I'm trying to find if I wrote a review about this book so that I can just go off of that before I literally start talking about this for 3 hours and everybody leaves. Okay, I'm gonna just read you my review that I wrote on Goodreads because I think it'll hopefully sum up my thoughts. This was terrible. Do not let the stamp that says Nobel Prize for Literature or Booker Prize fool you. This is just another story written by a white man pretending that he knows the struggles of subjugated individuals. I've studied literature for years and read a good number of books just like this. Coetzee isn't aware of his own ignorance as other authors might be, and I think the awareness of ignorance is the angle that he's trying with this book, but he fails. He continually tries to reclaim this failure with little snippets of actually good content and critical moments here and there, but it doesn't erase the harm done by the rest of the book. This novel is taking up the position that an actual minority or subjugated individual could have. It is books like this which take up space in the areas in which individuals with actual hardships and experience should be operating, and I'm sick of this. Couldn't have said it better myself. I won't get into all the details of why this book is horrible and disgraceful. I made a pun because the book is called this. Anyway, this book is written by a guy who understands the concept of ignorance but refuses to admit that he himself is ignorant. So writing from the perspective of the professor, he's allowing the professor to make mistakes in order to comment on the ignorance, basically putting us all readers in the group of people who are like, oh, we understand what this professor is doing, we understand what ignorance is, and so therefore the professor is bad. But unbeknownst to himself, J.M. Coetzee is putting himself in the position of the professor by pretending that he understands the position that subjugated individuals are in. none of that probably makes sense, but like it's the truth. He's pretending he understands what it's like to be in the position of somebody who is raped or somebody who has to deal with homophobia, racism, or sexism by placing himself on this pedestal where he thinks he has the right to criticize the main character when he himself is the main character. Anyway, I'm just gonna leave it at that because that one I could talk about forever. And I wrote a really great essay about it that I got an A on, just basically roasting the crap out of the author. Let's move on. On a much lighter note, next 1-star book, The Elite by Kiera Cass. This is such a different book than that. If you don't know what The Elite is, it is the second book in the selection series by Kiera Cass, which is a mix of The Bachelor and The Hunger Games. Basically, 35 women go into a castle where they basically have to fight for the hand of the prince of this kingdom place. The main character's name is America. That's basically all you need to know to understand why I gave this book 1 star. Super heavy, I'm not like other girls tropes. Giant love triangle. This second book was nothing. All 3 of these books, I haven't even read the 3rd book, all 3 of these books could be condensed into one pretty mediocre novel. I'm sorry I'm being so mean, but like you asked me to talk about all of the books that I hate in one video, I'm just like, it's all building. That's all I'm gonna say about The Elite. It was terrible. It was really bad. Okay, next, a book that I don't like. I don't know what I rated this one, either 2 star or 1 star. I think it was 2 stars. Titus Andronicus by Shakespeare. What can I say about Shakespeare that hasn't already been said? He's the worst, and I hate him. This is my least favorite Shakespeare play that I've ever read in my entire life, and I hate most of them. I had to take a Shakespeare class to graduate as an English major, which is so problematic for so many reasons that I won't get into right now. But basically, Titus Andronicus is a historical play. It takes place in Rome. Titus Andronicus is a military leader. He comes back to Rome after defeating the Goths, and basically people ask him to be the ruler until the guy who's like actually supposed to rule because of like family stuff, like his father was the ruler and then he's supposed to be the ruler. He's not old enough to do it yet, so people ask Titus to do it. He says no. He instead is like, Saturninus can do it, who's like the worst guy ever. And then basically everything goes horrible. It's just basically performative masculinity at its just the most toxic it could possibly be. It uses women as tools to push the plot forward of white men, and it's just really awful. Like, so much rape, mutilation, abuse against women for the sake of entertainment. Need I say more? Next 2-star book. We're really fluctuating categories here from really serious topics to like, I just didn't really enjoy this. Going back to a lighthearted one. Again But Better by Christine Riccio. Sorry. I am so excited that booktubers are writing books. I love the concept of it. People who review books are the perfect people to write books. Except in this case. I'm so happy for Christine that she was able to do this. I think it's absolutely phenomenal. I know she just came out with another novel, and that's literally amazing. This book just wasn't for me. I don't tend to like contemporary romance, especially if it's like geared towards YA, and this read a lot like a Wattpad book. There was like a certain time travel element to it, which was like kind of interesting, but I didn't vibe with a lot. I just thought that the writing read a little bit juvenile, and for it being classified as new adult, it just didn't do that. The biggest problem for me was the writing, and then the main character was just really frustrating. She was very much like, I'm not like other girls, just a kind of a frustrating main character. And yeah, I gave that one 2 stars, and that's it. Anyway, next, a little tiny guy, where is he? This little tiny guy, called Keep Calm and Carry On. I feel terrible about this because I was actually gifted this book because I have anxiety, but I think this book is actually a little bit, not like harmful, but just like a little misleading, because it's supposed to like offer you solutions to being anxious, but I think when it's talking about anxiety, it's talking about just like being a little nervous, being a little stressed out, not like chronic anxiety. And I found most of the things that it said just to be like just just like think about it and think about how like it's not that stressful. And I was like, well, okay. Like, just some of the advice was very surface level, very basics. I mean, I'm not saying all of it was like that, or like none of it was worthwhile, but from what I read from the reviews, a lot of people agree this just didn't really have anything to offer people who actually, I feel like, were targeted towards it, you know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, I'm sure it could be helpful for some people, maybe people who are just starting to understand their anxiety and their stress, but for people who have been dealing with it for years, I think this book is just useless. That sounds so harsh. It's just not a great resource for people who have like a deeper seated anxiety than is just like a little bit of stress. Next, I'm going to talk about Violet Bent Backwards Over the Grass by Lana Del Rey. I am not a fan of Lana Del Rey. Not that I'm not a fan of Lana Del Rey. Don't come for me. I just have never listened to her music except for the one song in The Great Gatsby. I don't know what the cross-section between my viewers and Lana Del Rey fans is, so I'm just being very careful. I am not the kind of girl who should be really barging in on... Okay. I harshly judge poetry. And if you watched my video yesterday about my December wrap-up, then you already know what I'm going to say about this book. I think this book had, like, no depth. It was just statements. It wasn't poetry. She grasped the concept of rhyme and rhythm, but didn't execute with anything worth saying. That's so mean. I'm so sorry. Like, there were a couple poems here and there that were like, oh, that's interesting. Like, I could think about that. I could dwell on that. But nothing worth paying money for this book. I read it as an ebook from my library, so I did not pay any money for it, and I wouldn't. Next, we're get to two books that I actually want to spend some time on talking about because I don't want anybody to think that these are bad books. They just weren't for me. And so these two are not the worst books, they're just my least favorite. In the least favorite section, these books aren't bad. The first is The Deep by Rivers Solomon. And I think this book is important. I think this book is worth reading, and I think that this book is very powerful and well written. So again, I want to emphasize that this book I do not think is one of the worst books I read this year. There are books that I rated higher that are probably worse than this book, talent writing literature wise. This book, for a brief synopsis, amazing concept by the way, is about the babies, or the pregnant women who were thrown overboard on the Middle Passage during the slave trade, who were pregnant, and their babies being born in the water and turning into mermaids. An amazing concept, by the way. That's not exactly what the book is. I thought it was going to focus more on that like historical aspect and the actual like development of the pregnant women giving birth in water and then the babies becoming mermaids. It's much more focused on the effects of that on a community of people much later, and that community of people, the mermaids, so the descendants of those women. It's about that community and their history and the importance of history and of remembering history. I think that I always have a weird relationship with stories being told through the paranormal. Not so much that I don't like the paranormal, but I feel like I personally just, my reading taste, don't love when those two things mix. So like another example of this, I don't know if you've ever heard of this book, but The Gilda Stories by Jewel Gomez is a story of how Black women were treated throughout history, but told through the perspective of a woman being able to live for hundreds of years because she's a vampire. And that's such a good concept, but I always find that I never enjoy the execution, and I think this is just another example of that. Mermaids, vampires, I just can't, like, it's me, is what I'm trying to say, is the reason I didn't like this book is me. I also think a couple of the, like, messages that this book was trying to, like, communicate were, like, missed, kind of, because of the, like, metaphors and the mermaids and the paranormal. I think there was a lot of really important messages that were kind of glossed over because, or not hit as hard as they should have been because of the, like, heavy descent into metaphor. And also there was a really weird kind of sex scene with, like, a mermaid and a human, and it made me really, really uncomfortable, and I don't know at all why it was necessary, and it made me so uncomfortable. I'm sorry if there's some deeper meaning there that I'm totally missing, but it made me so uncomfortable. I was so uncomfortable because I was reading about a mermaid having sex, and it was so uncomfortable. And it was like reading about a fish. It was like reading about a fish having sex, and I didn't like it. Anyway, I'm gonna move on now. And then the last one that I'm going to talk about is The Ocean at the End of the Lane, which I talked about briefly in yesterday's video. This is a short, like 200-page story about a small boy who discovers that there is more to reality. There is magic and fantasy and other realms, and basically this monster crosses over into the realm, disguises themselves as a like maid, governess, babysitter, nanny character who is like tormenting him basically, and he ends up being like tortured by his father. I couldn't at all understand this book. Not like understand, like I understood what was happening, I just couldn't understand like the hype, the value of this book. I understand that so many people love this book, and I'm sure that like this has specific value to other people, but for me, I didn't connect to it at all. I thought it read like every other book where a small boy discovers there's more to the world and then has to defeat it and almost dies, and then nobody believes him. I thought there's so many other stories that are like that. I just felt like a repeat of that, and that's pretty much it for that one. Those are all of my least favorite books that I read in 2021. Very sorry again if you were offended by anything that I said. It's my opinion, and I am allowed to have one, even if other people disagree with it. So please keep comments respectful. And also, tell me what your least favorite book that you read in 2021 is and absolutely destroy it in the comments below, please. I would absolutely love that. Anyway, I really hope that you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching and sticking with me through these 7 days of content. I really hope you enjoyed the videos that I've been posting and the ones that are coming up. I'm super excited about. Thank you so much for your continued support. It really helps me out if you like and comment and subscribe on this video so that you know what's coming and what's happening and all of the good things. That really helps me out. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day. I hope you have a great week. I hope you have a great life. And I will see you very, very soon. Bye-bye.